Reminisce, reminisce. Oh, reminisce on the love we had. What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the show, man. Recap with Mo. What we getting ready to get into another episode breakdown of the family business. But before we get into this thing, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss shit that's going down, alright? So the episode we're getting ready to get into is for season 5, episode number 4, titled Reminisce. Now the synopsis states, in a blast from the past, Chippy and Donna separately reminisce over their long ago doomed love triangle with LC, which caused the heated friction that still persists. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this thing. Alright, y'all, so we kicked this episode off where we left off with Orlando back at the dealership being surrounded by Antonio and his goons, right? So Orlando is still standing firm, letting Antonio know that he's not going. Specifically, I'm not going into that car. Now, the tension in the room is thick, y'all. It's real thick, and it's getting thicker, right? So now Antonio approaches Orlando to let him know that this ain't no daggone negotiation. So Orlando is like, cool, bruh, if you're gonna do something, you're gonna have to put me down right here. Now, Antonio is like, okay, don't think that I won't. So I'm sitting over here like, oh, they're going back and forth. And I'm like, ooh-wee. I'm like, daggone, this how y'all gonna start the episode off? I said, I'm here. I got my popcorn. I'm ready, right? So before anything can get to popping, though, because I already got my popcorn, I'm ready to go. In walks Vegas from up behind, behind the goons or whatnot. So Vegas wants to know what's going on, but before they can talk and discuss some things, everybody got to put down their machinery, right? Because the room is full of it. And Vegas has already brought his own, which he has in the palm of his hands, which just so happens to be 2 grenades, which this brother has already pulled the pin on. So now he's threatening to, blow everybody up to smithereens if we cannot provide any information or we don't put down the machinery. So, of course, one of Antonio's security guards believe that Vegas is bluffing right now. So now Vegas is looking at Antonio. Antonio's looking at Vegas. So Antonio's like, look, okay, I don't want no smoke. So he tells everybody in the room to put down the machinery, right? So after all of that is done, Antonio then tells Vegas that he just wanted to know the whereabouts of his cousin Vinny. So, of course, Vegas looks to his brother Orlando to give him, what he knows. Orlando tells him that the last time that he saw him in LA, which was true. And then, Vinny actually came to get Ruby and his son to take to Disneyland or something like that, right? So that was all he could give him. And he says, I don't know where he is from there, even though he does know, right? So anyhow, going on from there, Vegas then turns around to address Antonio to let him know that the way that he handled this situation was a little bit distasteful. Like, we all have a seat at the table. We could address, we could have addressed it there, but you chose to bring it up here to the dealership. And that's just a little bit too funny for me, right? So anyhow, Antonio is still in his feelings. So he conveys to the brothers that he no longer wants to have any association with the Duncans nor the table until we can get to the bottom of this missing Vinny situation, right? And of course, they already know what that means because LC is not going to be happy at all, but it is what it is, right? So from there, we head over to see Donna and Dominique. So they're meeting up to discuss further what was introduced on the sidewalk. When Donna was getting ready to take her little jog and Dominique was standing outside her crib, right? So Dominique wants to know if Donna was truly committed with sticking to the plan, which they've already agreed upon earlier, right? So while they're still discussing the matter, Dominique receives a phone call directly from Antonio, pretty much conveying to her what went down over at the dealership. So she tells him that everything will be cool. I'm actually sitting out here right now, meeting up with Donna. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So Donna's looking at her facial expressions and she could tell that something has gone wrong. So as soon as Dominique gets off the phone, Donna's like, is everything good? Dominique is like, yeah, we're going to be all right. Everything is going to be good. It was just a little, a little snag in the plan, but we good. We all right. So don't you worry your mind about that. Are we still good with this plan? Essentially, that's what she wants to know. And how about your son, Junior? Oh, don't worry about him, right? So going on from there, we head back over to Duncan Motors, where we see Orlando and Vegas in the office looking at the camera, trying to figure out how these jokers got in, right? But while they're standing there, Vegas simply has one question for his brother Orlando, and the question is this: is Vinny actually missing, or is he missing? Meaning, is he gone, right? So, of course, Orlando is like, man, look, Duncan to Duncan, that joker gone. He gone on vacation. You know what I'm saying? And 6 feet deep, right? So, anyhow, Vegas is looking at him like, man, I already knew it, bro. And I think Antonio knew that as well. I think that Antonio knew that they were not being 100 with him. So that's the reason why he chose to, distance himself from the Duncans and the table. Now, he's better than me because I would have never lost my money on that due to the life that we're living right here. Like, we already in the streets. Like, why I'm going to miss my coins with that as well? So, no, we're not going to do that, brother. So, anyhow, from there, we now head over to the Duncans' residence where we see Nevada and LC playing a game of chess. Long story short, LC kicks his butt. Nevada doesn't understand how he lost, but what he does understand is that something is different between LC and Chippy. All right, he can't put his finger on it, but obviously the energy is spectacular, right? So of course LC is sitting there smiling and whatnot. He was like, no, man, we just in a good space. So Nevada is like, man, I wish that some of that could rub off on the rest of the family. So of course LC is like, what do you mean? So Nevada is like, man, all the stuff that's going down with Junior, Paris, Rio, you name it, we got something going on. And then you got this whole situation going on with Mariah and her mother. And he was like, what are you talking about? So he pretty much tells LC that Mariah believes that, her mother did something to her father, right? So of course LC is like, what? He was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, that's serious, bro. I'm gonna have to talk to her mother to make sure that she can, resolve all of this, right? So from there, now we head over to see Sonya, who's calling Junior to see why is he mistreating her? Why is he avoiding her, right? Now, he's over here picking out ties and handkerchiefs and whatnot for tonight's events, which we will talk about later. But right now, we need to talk about this whole Junior and Sonya situation, because this is crazy, right? She had absolutely nothing to do with what went down with the family, and this dude is mistreating his wife, his pregnant wife, with his child, mistreating her for no daggone reason. So, I used to like Junior, but right now I'm feeling some type of way about Junior, man, because she had nothing to do with this, bro. Nothing. All right, you actually brought her into this family when she was working over there at that daggone hospital. You brought her into this family, bro. So now he doesn't want to pick up the phone, but he picks it up and then he's on silent mode. He's on mute. I guess like Beyonce, right? Everybody on mute. So now she was like, I know you there. I can hear you breathing. Like she can hear your... she... Listen, bro, go on and talk to her. And the first thing that this brother utters out of his mouth is, what do you want, Judas? I was like, I know you didn't, bro. Judas? Out of all people, bro. So anyhow, she was like, look, why can't we just talk? And then this Negro hangs up the phone. And she was like, I know you didn't. I was like, yes, he did, sis. He sure did, right? And I hate it because he's going to end up missing out on the best thing that ever happened to him. What Gladys Knight say? You are the best thing that ever happened to me. Right now, this is it. You don't have the reality that you had growing up thinking that these were your siblings. That's no longer the truth. But what is true is this is your wife and she's carrying your child. Daggone it. Man, let's go ahead and move on, man, because we'll talk about her in a moment. So going on from there, We now head downstairs where we see Chippy and Nene discussing the situation that went down the other night between Elsie and Chippy out in the car. Now, of course, Nene, after hearing the story or whatnot, she tells Chippy that she and Elsie are way too daggone old to be out there doing that thing in the car. Now, Chippy is like, I disagree. No, we good. It was great. And we're going to do it again. You heard me? Because it was good. So, I ain't mad at her. Like, that's your husband. You his wife, y'all do what y'all need to do to keep that thing spicy, right? So, Nene's still feeling some type of way. We'll talk about that in a moment, but it is what it is. Don't get mad, don't get jealous. Don't get jealous. So while they're in the midst of their little conversation and whatnot, in walks Sonya, who's going off. She's mad, she's pissed off, she's mad. And I get it. So now Chippy and Nene seeing this, they like, hold on, what's going on? So Sonya conveys to them that Junior just hung up on her. Junior is still mistreating her like she had something to do with the family secret. So of course Nene is looking at Chippy and she's like, look girl, it's time to tell her what actually went down. So of course she was like, no, I already know all of that. She was like, no, you don't know the for real story. Like, no, you need to sit back and listen. So of course she was like, oh, okay. So now we getting ready to go back and reminisce on the love we had, or more specifically on the life we had, because Chippy tells Sonya that back in the day, she was a working girl. She was a woman of the night. Now, of course, Sonya's sitting there like, what? Wait. Are you telling me that you were a prostitute? And of course, Chippy's sitting there like, yeah, that's who I was. But that's not it. I got something else to tell you. So she was like, girl, what else, right? So now she tells her that, Donna actually was with Elsie first. So now Sonya's sitting there like, girl, you stole her man? Like, I see why she mad. I understand it now. So when she takes us back, we see her with all of this hair on her head. Elsie is coming into this club because his brothers and, himself, they work with, Big Sam from time to time or whatnot. So he sees this young tender over here reading this book. So Elsie decides to go over there and talk to her or whatnot, spark up a conversation. So they introduce themselves to one another. And of course he leaves. Now one of the girls there tells her to not even waste her time with Elsie because first and foremost, he doesn't give out any money, so you're not going to get no money from him. But last but not least, he's engaged to a doctor's daughter. And that daughter just so happens to be Donna, who's waiting outside in their Mercedes. And she's mad as heck that he keeps going to this place. She doesn't understand why he continues to come here. He pretty much tells her that, look, man, I'm a Duncan, and my brothers and I, we work with Big Sam from time to time, so I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. So, of course, she tries to tell him otherwise, like you're in college, like you're above all of this. Whoa. So, anyhow, going on from there, we head back to real time where we see Donna coming in to see her son, Junior, all dressed up or whatnot. So when she sees him, she's just shocked how much he looks like her father, right? So now she starts to tell Junior a little bit about her father, and then she goes on to tell him why she was attracted to Elsie. And she tells him that the reason why she was attracted to Elsie is because he reminded her a lot of her father. So now we go back to see a young Elsie and a young Donna in her room, I'm assuming, where she's placing a tie around his neck because he has a job interview. So she's encouraging him, telling him that he got this. You're going to make this great for our future. Whoa. So the next thing you know, we're back in the present, and we see Donna still continuing her conversation with Junior, pretty much telling her how much, her father meant to her, how strong he was, and how he didn't play. Now, Junior is like, yeah, he definitely had to be all of that if he had Pop Shook or whatnot, because we already know that LC don't play either, right? So, of course, he was like, yes, you are Duncan, but I also want you to know and understand that you also have another bloodline in you, because I want you to show LC and Chippy and the rest of them jokers over there at the Duncans residence that you're a real boss. So, of course, he's like, okay, well, how do I go by doing that? Donna then looks this man dead in the eye and says, me, I'm going to show you how to do it. As a matter of fact, I got some friends that I want you to meet, and we're going to work through this, right? And he was like, okay. And I was like, I do not like this. I do not like how this is coming out, because I feel like it's going to backfire in some sort of way, right? So moving on from there, we now head over to see Rio pulling up on this car that's for sale, and we see this lady coming outside to drop off some trash. So Rio asked, where's the guy that's selling this car? She tells him that, her son is selling the car, but I'm the point of contact. So he was like, well, where's the guy? Because he told me that he was going to give me a good deal on the ride. She was like, well, you can call him, but if you want the car, you can talk directly to me. So he was like, well, where is he? She tells him too much daggone information, because she done told this man that he's down in Georgia. He was like, why? She was like, to handle some business, woo, woo, woo. So I was like, daggone, you telling too much information to the wrong person. So, of course, she was like, so do you want to buy the car or not? Because you asking all of these daggone questions. And then Rio puts on his shades and he's like, no, I don't want to buy that car. Like, I already know what I need to know to get to where I need to go. So, anyhow, going on from there, man, we head back over to the Duncans residence, where we see Chippy, still telling her story. She's still reminiscing, of the good times and the bad times, right? So, of course, Nene is like, yeah, these girls been fighting for years, and they ain't never been able to get along. So they go back to a time where, Chippy was up in the room with her roommate. Now, that roommate looked a whole lot like Nene a little bit. I don't know if that was her. I need to go back and do a little bit more research on that. But it sure enough looked like a young Thelma, right? So anyhow, Thelma, I'm going to just call her Thelma for the sake of the recap. So Thelma is up there changing the record player or whatnot, and then she looks out the shade and she sees, LC and his brothers pulling up. So she tells Chippy that, hey, your good friend is here. So, of course, Chippy gets up. She's reading a book, but she gets up off the couch, gets herself together, and runs downstairs with that book. And she goes outside to holler at LC, who's dropping off some money or receiving some money, right? So, of course, they go over to the other side of the porch, and they talking about the book. He's telling her to tell him about the book, right? Now, guess who's walking up to the house? Donna. Donna, I don't know where she came from. I don't know if she was in the car or not, but she looked like she was just coming up there to see what was going on. So when she came up to the porch, she was like, LC, you coming? And, of course, he was like, hey, I'm coming, just cool down. So then she's sitting there about 3 seconds, and she was like, we're going to be late for the movies. He was like, no, we not. So then she was like, okay, this brother ain't hearing me. So then she makes her way up the steps a little bit further to say, look, LC. So now he got to move from his position, come all the way over here to the steps to say, look, just calm down. We're going to be there. And one of his brothers was like, look, just calm down, Donna. Just allow him to finish talking to this woman over here, right? So now Donna's like, no, I don't see no woman over there. What woman? As a matter of fact, what would he have anything to talk to her about? So then LC tells her that they're talking about a book. She was like, I didn't know hoes could read. I was like, oh. I was like, come on, Donna. Come on, you didn't know they could read. Man. Moving. So they get into it. They go back and forth. Chippy is calling her insecure, whatever it is. Now, the only thing that Donna is doing at this point is running her man away. Like, we don't like all of that. Like, if I'm yours, I'm yours. Well, I can only speak for myself. Like, let me just speak for myself. But if you insecure, I don't want to be around no insecure woman. I need you to know, hey, you got me, I got you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about no woman being all up in my face. If she is, it's about business, whatever it is, right? But getting back to this show, like, I honestly believe and think that Donna made herself look bad in this equation. Like, right here, this was not called for. If you felt some type of way, you could have talked to him about it later. Now Chippy knows that she got you. Regardless, I'm going to put myself in front of your man again and see you respond the way that you responded. Like, it's going to go down every time because I got you. I'm ruffling your feathers right now. So anyhow, moving on from there. From there, we head over to see LC receiving a phone call from his brother Larry, who's doing a lot better. He's taking his meds, so everything is good. But he wanted to talk to LC to find out what was going on. He wanted to make sure that his brother LC didn't hate him. LC pretty much conveys to him, like, look, man, you will forever be my brother, so I'm not going to hate you. That's a strong word to use, but it's going to take me some time to get over what you did to my family. And of course, LC knows that his brother Larry wasn't mentally where he needed to be, of course. So it's a lot easier to forgive somebody knowing that they were going through some stuff themselves, right? So, LC and Larry, they're talking, and Larry wants to know how's his family and how's LC's family. And LC pretty much tells him that everything is good for the most part. And of course, Larry's like, for the most part. And he was like, well, we're having a little situation with Junior or whatnot. And he was like, with Junior? He was like, he's pretty much the happiest guy that I know, right? So he was like, well, he used to be. But unfortunately, he's found out that Aunt Donna really isn't his Aunt Donna. And he was like, what? I thought you were going to take that to the grave. He was like, well, I was. But unfortunately, Donna put it out there. And he was like, what? So Larry has to remind LC that, hey, man, you avoided a situation that you did not foresee. Like, at least you did not marry this woman. And he was like, yeah, I was awfully close. So now we actually see LC reminiscing back in the day, right? So now we see at this church a young Donna pacing back and forth, waiting on LC to show up, which he finally does. And she was like, where have you been? Like, what's supposed to be doing our rehearsal or whatnot? And he pretty much tells her that he cannot be married to her right now. This is not the time. And she was like, what are you talking about? Long story short, y'all, LC has to tell this woman that he's in love with another woman. And it just so happens to be Sister Chippy. So if you saw her face, she was like, what? The whore? And he was like, yeah. Like, I love her. Like, I used to love you, but I now love her. And that's the one I want to spend my life with, right? So, of course, she want to cuss him out as he's walking away, but it's too late, baby. It's too late. That brother he already walking out your life. Like, don't make it worse. Like, you only hurting yourself. So anyhow, he leaves. She's still mad. And that's where all of this animosity comes from, because Chippy stole LC away from Donna, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. So anyhow, going on from there. So now we head back over to the Duncans residence, where we see Nevada playing a video game, but it doesn't last long because he's interrupted by Rio, who needs his assistance, right? So of course, Nevada's like, man, I'm gonna have to start charging you or whatnot, because this is getting a little bit too much. Now Rio tells him, like, look, man, your payment is me not telling my mom that you are assisting me with something that you're not supposed to be assisting me with, right? So of course Nevada's sitting over here like, bro, you would do that? He was like, exactly. So going to get to working. So now Rio wants him to pull up the older woman who's Brandon's mom, but he also needs to see if Brandon is Brandon. So pull up her son so I can see who he is. So he pulls up the image, and it's the guy who came on one side of the vehicle, and he was like, that was him, right? So of course he was like, but I found out that he's in Georgia because I spoke to his mom. Nevada's like, you spoke to his mom? He was like, look, that's neither here or there. We don't need to worry about that. But I don't know how to locate him in Georgia. And of course Nevada's like, man, if you need to find out where somebody is in Georgia, you already know who to ask. Now Rio was sitting over there like, who? And he was like, Curtis. And he was like, gotcha, right? And I was like, daggone, like, Rio, leave this alone, bro. But for some odd reason, he just cannot let it go. Like, I don't know what's going on with him right now. So anyhow, going on from there, we head over to see Dr. Richardson and LC. Now, LC is going to get his test results to figure out what's going on, if there's something that needs to be done for him or whatnot. Dr. Richardson is looking at the computer screen like, what in the heck is going on? So, of course, LC is like, is everything good? She was like, yeah, but I'm looking at your testosterone levels, and they're, mimicking the levels of a 30-year-old, right? So, of course, he was like, is that okay? She was like, yeah. But I do have questions though, like, because you just came in here and everything was different. Now, you got this new vibe about yourself. And he was like, well, things have changed. She was like, well, have you been taking the vitamins? He was like, no, I actually didn't take no vitamins, but I would say that me and my girl, we've been doing our thing. And she was like, well, I'm glad that has worked out better. And, he liked to tell her that he put that pow on somebody. That's really what started this whole little situation, if we want to be honest, right? So, I'm interested, but I'm not really interested, because we're going to move on to something a little more interesting, right? Because now from here, we head back over to Donna's crib, where we see Junior's, encouraging himself in the mirror, to get ready to prep for the night, right? So while he's doing all of that, the doorbell rings. So he goes to the door, and it just so happens to be Vegas. So he was like, oh, here we go with this. He was like, yeah, I see you trying to avoid the family, but you're going to allow me to do what I need to do and say what I need to say, right? Long story short, Junior ain't coming back, but he wants to know, have you given up on your job? I know you left the family, all of that good stuff, but have you left your profession, what we've been paying you for, my brother? And it was like, oh man, everything is good, man. Everything is good. He was like, no, not that job, my brother. Not that job. And he was like, dang. So he started feeling some type of way about that when he talked about that job specifically, right? So then, Junior is like, I just got one question for you, Vegas. And he was like, go ahead. And he was like, did you know? And he was like, yes, I did. So from that point on, the conversation was null and void. There was no need to have that conversation, because now Junior is pissed off once again, because he feels like everybody in the family, except for Sonia, your wife, knew. That's how he feels, right? But of course, he treating everybody at the Duncan residence. Shoot, he might even be blaming Nevada right now. Who knows? Nevada wasn't even here. So anyhow... moving on from there, we see Vegas driving off, and he receives a phone call from Curtis. So Vegas pretty much conveys to him that he was trying to talk some sense into Junior, and, talking about that whole situation with his mother, Donna, and all of that good stuff. So Curtis is like, bro, did you tell him what really happened with all of that? Did you tell him? And it was like, no, I didn't mention all of that. He was like, look, man, I promise you, go back and talk to him directly and let him know what really transpired. So, of course, he was like, good looking out. So he decides to turn around. So now, when Vegas turns around and heads back over to the crib, we now see Antonio and Dominique coming towards the door. So Vegas pulls up, and he sees Junior opening the door to welcome Antonio and Dominique. So of course, Vegas like, what the heck is going on? So now I'm sitting here like, daggone it, the plot has thickened, and I can't wait to recap the next episode, because I know it's going to be great, man. So with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss shit in it that's going down. Make sure to leave comments down below. Make sure to share if you think somebody else would enjoy this content as well. Until next time, I'll see y'all soon. Peace.